Hello everyone, my name is Stacy Ellis. I'm a registered dietitian nutritionist and I'm here to tell you if you should not become a dietitian. Do not become a dietitian if dot dot dot. So the reason why I wanted to do this video is because I've actually been teaching at my university undergrad students for about 4 years now. And with that, I see many people coming into the dietetics field, and a lot of them are very unaware of what is in store. They have this idea of what nutrition is about, this idea of what dietetics is about, but really they don't really have a huge grasp of what is in store for them if they are planning on being a dietitian. And so I wanted to share this video for you if you are, an undergrad, or if you're deciding whether or not you should, study nutrition, be a dietetics major or not. This video is for you. So for starters, you should not become a dietitian if you are going into the nutrition field just to solve your own nutrition problems. Now, granted, you will learn things in nutrition that will help solve some of your problems. Yes, if you are interested in, medical nutrition therapy for different conditions, or, the food relationship that you should have, yes, you will gain some insight. But if that is your sole purpose of getting into the dietetics, it's just to solve whatever problem you are having. Maybe you're trying to lose weight, and so you tell yourself, well, I'm just going to go ahead and study nutrition. It's so exciting, and hopefully along the way I'll learn how to lose weight. That's not going to be a good basis for you to go into nutrition. You really need to want to study it for deeper than that. And you also, you need to want to help other people, because that's the main purpose of nutrition and dietetics. So that leads me to my second point is, don't go into dietetics if you're not willing to lead by example. There's a lot of people who go into dietetics and they learn the material, but then they don't practice it. And as a dietitian, I hear from clients all the time of different dietitians that they come in contact with that will tell them, to eat a certain way to lose weight, but they're overweight themselves. Or, different dietitians that will tell them, you need to exercise, you need to watch your blood sugar, but they're unhealthy themselves. Now, granted, I understand that you can't just necessarily say that someone's healthy based off of just their weight alone. But we do know, based off of research, that if you are in the obese category, for sure, then that definitely puts you at a super high risk of different chronic diseases. And quite frankly, there's a lot of dietitians currently that are overweight. And with that, I get it's fine. I'm not trying to bash anyone who's overweight. I understand, because I work with a lot of clients who are overweight. I understand that it's not an easy thing to do. Losing weight is not easy, even for dietitians. So I understand that, and I'm not trying to bash anyone who is overweight. But if you're becoming a dietitian just to learn how to lose weight, or learn how to, do certain things, like I said earlier, that's not a good reason to be a dietitian. Or if you're just learning it because it's so interesting, but you don't have the discipline to instill those habits yourself, you have to lead by example, right? Like, if you don't have the discipline to eat right and exercise, how are you going to expect your clients to do so? How are you going to expect your patients to do so? If you can't motivate someone to, get up and go to the gym and start eating fruits and vegetables, and, watch what they're eating, if you can't motivate them to do so, and if you can't motivate yourself to do so, what's the point? Right? You need to lead by example. That's one of the most important things in terms of being a dietitian, in my opinion, because they see your example. They see that it's attainable. They see, oh, you did this, so I can do this too. right? So you definitely want to lead by example. I don't want to bash anyone who is currently dealing with some type of medical condition or, dealing with obesity. I'm not trying to bash you, but I think it is your obligation as a dietitian to try to get things squared away in that area. And I know that there's a move, and the intuitive eating move, and loving your body, and all that, and that's fine, and that is important. You do need to love your body. You do need to be intuitive with the foods you eat and have a healthy relationship with your food. But you also have to be healthy. You also have to, like I said, practice what you preach. We know that obesity is a high risk of many chronic diseases. It's not fat shaming. It's the truth. It's science. And so as a leader in the nutrition field, you have a responsibility to try to get your health under control before you help anyone else. And that's just my opinion, okay? And I know, like I said, people are going to hate me for saying this, but it's the truth. Point number 3, do not become a dietitian if you are stuck with your own philosophy on nutrition. This refers to people who have their own eating agenda that they follow currently, such as like the vegan community, people who follow the keto, whatever the case may be. There's nothing wrong with you being vegan. There's nothing wrong with you following a certain eating program. But there is something wrong with pushing your agenda on everyone else. Because the truth of the matter is not everyone is going to want to eat that way. Not everyone's going to want to be a vegan. Not everyone's going to want to limit their carbs or, follow a particular eating program. And anyone who's a dietitian knows this. When you go through your clinical rotations, you will see so many different people with so many different backgrounds and eating lifestyles. It's kind of hard to push that agenda on some of them. You have different religious beliefs, different cultures. So if you are just stuck on just one type of diet and you just want to promote that diet, you may not want to be a dietitian, because you might find yourself in a situation where you're not going to feel comfortable promoting, for instance, eating meat to someone who is malnourished and they need to prevent, muscle decay, right? It's just something to think about. There's nothing, like I said, there's nothing wrong with following these diets, but as a dietitian, ethically, you can't just push your agenda on to someone else. Now, I know that there are dietitians out there that are specific dietitians that are like, I'm a plant-based dietitian, or, I follow the keto diet or intermittent fasting or whatever the case may be. There are dietitians with those specialty areas that they will definitely, specialize in those areas and become very familiar with those areas. But even those dietitians have to be willing to recognize that not everyone's going to be eating that way, and they have to be able to provide medical nutrition therapy that's appropriate for that person that they're talking to. If they're talking to someone who has no desire to be a vegan, they cannot tell them constantly, well, the reason why you're having these problems is because you're not eating a plant-based diet. That nutritionally, we have enough nutrition background to know that that's not the only way to solve some of these problems. And so, we as dietitians, we can't just say that, right? So if you have any ethical issues with telling someone that they should follow a diet that incorporates certain foods that you do not agree with, then being a dietitian is not meant for you. Point number 4, you're not meant to be a dietitian if you do not like science. A lot of people have this misconception that nutrition is literally just about fruits, vegetables, whole grains, nuts, seeds, like all the different food groups. That's a very small portion of dietetics. Literally, you will spend maybe one class period talking about the different food groups. Like, that's in your intro to nutrition class. The majority of dietetics involves science. a lot of biochemistry, a lot of anatomy and physiology, a lot of medical nutrition therapy. So you have to be comfortable with high scientific concepts. Just metabolism itself. People are going to come to you expecting you to be an expert on metabolism. And I will be honest with you. If you're doing the undergrad dietetics program right now, the amount of information that you learn through your metabolism class is just barely skimming the surface of what people are going to expect for you to understand, to communicate to them. And so if you don't have a love for science to actually study these things and grasp it to a point where you can just explain it well to people, then dietetics is not for you. If you don't like chemistry, if you don't like biochemistry, if you don't like anatomy, physiology, if you don't like medical nutrition therapy, even if you have a goal of not working in the hospital, if you don't have a desire and drive to think scientifically, then dietetics is not for you. I know a lot of people who want to do sports nutrition, and they're like, I don't want to work in the hospital. I just want to do sports nutrition. Well, sports nutrition is a whole nother level of science in itself. And so, yes, you do need to know a lot about science, a lot about biochemistry, a lot about anatomy and physiology and all those things. So if you have a hard time in those areas and you don't have a love and passion when you study those things, then dietetics may not be for you. Just saying. The fifth reason why you may not become a dietitian or should not go through this pathway is if you are not doing well academically. Those who become dietitians are the best of the best, and I'm just being honest. I definitely commend anyone that becomes a dietitian, because in order to get into a dietetic internship, you have to have a high GPA. You have to show yourself to be a leader within the community, been involved in different things. And so if you are struggling to make A's and B's in your classes, you may not be cut out to become a dietitian. In my opinion, being a dietitian is not necessarily hard, but the pathway to become a dietitian is hard because there is a lot required for you to know. And the reason why I can say being a dietitian is not hard is because, like I said earlier, you have to have that passion and love for science. I love learning about nutrition. I gave a talk today at my job about nutrition and prioritizing your health, and someone told me afterwards, they said, we can tell that you just really love nutrition and you have a passion for it. And so if you don't have that really, really deep passion to learn these things, to learn about the sciences, it's gonna be difficult for you and you're not gonna make it. I'm just being honest. The reason why it's easy for us who are dietitians is because we do love it so much. And so, yeah, if you are struggling to make A's and B's, especially in your biochemistry classes, any class, macronutrient, micronutrient classes, you need to be making A's or B's. And then on all the other classes, you need to be making A's. The other nutrition classes, intro nutrition, you need to be making an A. Community nutrition, you need to be making an A. Food preparation, all those classes, you should be making an A. If you find that you are struggling in these classes and you're not making an A, then you might really want to take a step back and really ask yourself if this is the right career for you. I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm not saying that you can't become a dietitian, but there is definitely something missing there, a lack of love. Because if you really loved it, then you would really get your butt in those books and study and really learn the material so you can do well. And so, like I said, the best of the best make it. The people who really are passionate about this, the nutrition and things like that, are the ones that actually make it. So that is my suggestion to you. And that leads me to my next point number 6. You should not become a dietitian if you're not willing to be a leader. If you are shy, um, and reserved, and you're afraid to speak up and talk and be a leader, then being a dietitian is not for you. So, as a dietitian, normally you are one of a few in whatever company you're in. You might just be the only dietitian. You might be working with a team of dietitians. And people are going to come to you for your leadership skills within nutrition. They're going to expect you to be able to, solve problems. It could be simple problems as in just regular nutrition questions, but it might also be problems in terms of, okay, we need to determine a budget for this, food service production situation, or, we need your expertise in terms of creating some rules and procedures on how we will, have the food given out to patients. So you are required to be a leader. And so with that being said, you're going to want to put yourself in a position where you can learn and develop leadership skills. Get involved in different organizations. And the organizations, a lot of times I see a lot of people get involved in like the student nutrition programs at their university. That's fine and that's great, but you will only learn certain skills in those programs. If you really want to learn skills, get involved in other organizations. Get involved in student government. Volunteer at, a hospital. Volunteer, with different organizations. Really put yourself in positions where you can broaden, your skills that you are able to do. And there's nothing, I stated earlier, about this whole shy thing. There's nothing wrong with being shy. You can be an introvert, but you still need to be able to be a leader and come out of that. So I'm actually an introvert, but I have overcome my shyness. I am able to talk to people. I definitely feel as though I'm a leader. And, I speak. I'm speaking now, obviously. So, don't think that just because you're an introvert that you can't be a dietitian. A lot of times in the dietetics field, you may be working by yourself depending on, if you're working private practice, food service, things like that. Like, there's a possibility that you will be working by yourself, but you also will be working with others. And when you work with others, you need to be able to show those leadership traits. And in some cases, you might be the leader. I think of like within school districts, they have dietitians that plan out their, the cafeteria food, and they're the leader over the whole food service for the district, right? And so, there are situations where you will be communicating and have to do those type of leadership skills, just depending on what type of job that you have, right? So keep that in mind. And being that you're a leader, think about how leaders look. How do leaders conduct themselves? How do they appear? If you are going to be a dietitian, and this might sound, I don't want this to sound negative, but it is true. We know who leaders are. Leaders, when they enter the room, you notice them, right? They have some type of leadership qualities. You can't be a dietitian and walk around like this and, be scared and have this timid look, and you're not going to get hired. You're not going to get picked for an internship. You're not going to get hired. And, you can say, well, that's just my personality. That's just who I am. No, it's not. That's a fear that you have within you that you have to overcome. Because, like I said, there's a lot of dietitians that are introverts, and they overcome it, and they still can speak up and be leaders within the dietetic field. Okay. So that is the fifth point. Don't become a dietitian. Another one, do not become a dietitian if you have a snobby attitude about nutrition. And I'm saying this in general because, like I said, I have appreciation for the dietetic field. No one becomes a dietitian unless they're smart. Point blank. So I'm not knocking dietitians in that regard. However, there are a lot of dietitians that gain this sense of cockiness in terms of nutrition. Oh, I'm the nutrition expert here. They need to listen to me. Oh, the doctor said this. Oh, the doctor doesn't know nutrition. You know, the personal trainer doesn't know nutrition. There's don't come into dietetics with a snobby attitude and feeling as though you know all the answers regarding nutrition. Because the truth of the matter is, nutrition is forever changing, and you're not the only experts that like to study nutrition, right? There's medical doctors that study nutrition, there's personal trainers that study nutrition, there's, just people in general who are interested in nutrition that study nutrition. Now, you are the expert in terms of administering medical nutrition therapy, being able to look at someone and examine their health history and determine the best appropriate action. But that does not mean that somebody else does not know, the appropriate protein amounts. It doesn't mean that somebody else doesn't know how to calculate different things. I've been a dietitian for many years, and I think of like within my nutrition department, I'm currently in grad school. There's a lot of my professors, they're not dietitians, and they know more about nutrition than some of the dietitians that just graduated. So I don't want you to get so snobby and think, oh, I am the nutrition expert and I know everything. All these people don't know what they're talking about. So if you're snobby and cocky about nutrition, don't become a dietitian, because we already have plenty of those. And we don't need any more cocky dietitians in the field. We need people who are willing to work with others, communicate with other experts, listen to their opinions on nutrition, understand where they're coming from their level of expertise regarding nutrition, and come to the best consensus of what, the recommendations should be based off of that. That's just my opinion. I know that there's a lot of other people who are really protective of the dietetic title, which I understand. But the truth of the matter is, within nutrition is one of those areas, no matter how hard you protect it, people are interested in nutrition. And so people are going to study it because everyone eats. And so I understand there's dietitians that want to protect and not have anyone talk about nutrition but them. But for one thing, we don't have a lot of dietitians available. And another thing, like I said earlier, there's people who just are genuinely interested in nutrition, is going to study and read articles and different things. You can't be mad at them for being interested. You just can't. Which leads me to my seventh point. Do not become a dietitian if you are not a people person and you're not willing to listen to other people's opinions, other people's expertise, or even just working with them. If you're going to judge them, if you're a very judgmental person, if you're someone that is just stuck in your ways, do not become a dietitian. And I say this because, like I said, I've come in contact with dietitians that are like this, and it's just not fair. You'll be working with so many different cultures and backgrounds. You need to be able to work with different types of people. I have been lucky. I grew up as an army brat, so I have been around so many different cultures. I feel comfortable around everyone. But quite frankly, within my career, there are a lot of Caucasian females who spend most of their time with other Caucasians, and they don't have an idea and understanding of other cultures, how they talk, how they communicate, what is acceptable behavior, what is not acceptable behavior, what's offensive, what's not offensive. And so there are a lot of dietitians that they can't reach people who need to be reached. And I'm not trying to be controversial or anything like that. It's just the truth of the matter. If you don't expose yourself to different cultures, if you don't expose yourself to different ways of thinking, how are you going to make an impact? Are you just trying to get a paycheck? Or are you just trying to, so you need to be willing to, listen to other people, not stay in your bubble, not just think that your way is the right way, and be a people person, because you're going to be talking to people on all extremes. You're going to talk to people who are very, educated, they know a lot about nutrition already, they know a lot about science. Then you're going to also talk to people who they have a third grade reading level. You're going to talk to all levels. And so you need to be understanding of both of their needs and what they need in that point in time, be able to communicate with them and not be annoyed, when you talk to any one of those types of people. So that is my top 7 reasons on why you should not become a dietitian. I will probably have another part 2 to this video, just talking about some of the other things that I noticed within the dietetics field that I feel that we need to address. A lot of elephants in the room that we just need to address. So again, if you like this content and you want some more, put a thumbs up, subscribe, and comment down below, and I will see you guys next time.